Amsterdam in the 1600s was a city built on water, wind, and risk. It was one of Europe's great trading hubs, swollen with ships, goods, and people arriving from every direction. By the middle of the century, hundreds of thousands of lives were packed into a landscape of canals, bridges, warehouses, and narrow streets, all balanced on wooden piles driven deep into wet ground. In this video, I use modern AI tools to bring historic paintings, engravings, and prints to life, allowing us to shift perspective, change camera angles, and move through the same scenes in ways their original artists never could. We can lean closer to the faces in a crowd. We can drift along the waterline. We can climb above rooftops and watch smoke slide across the skyline. First, I want to talk about the city's front door, the harbor, the dam, and the river that made Amsterdam possible. This is the IJ and the dam rack. This view shows Amsterdam opening itself to the water. By the early 1600s, the dam rack is busy, choked with masts like a forest of poles. In the foreground, the water is dark and restless, slapped by small waves and cut by boat wakes. In the midground, barges and small craft slide between larger ships, their hulls heavy and low. In the background, the city rises in a tight wall of gables, cranes, and church towers. You can almost hear it. Rope creaking. Wooden spars knocking. Men shouting over each other in several languages. The sharp smell of tar, wet hemp, and fish. Porters move in lines, carrying barrels and bundled cloth. Sailors lean on rails, waiting for paperwork, wages, or trouble. This is a place where news arrives as fast as cargo. A storm in the North Sea. A war rumor. A price change for grain. But the danger is always close. Crowds invite theft. Water invites drowning. Fires start in warehouses stacked with oil, pitch, and timber. And disease travels too, slipping through the same channels as trade. Amsterdam tries to manage it with inspections and rules, but a port is never fully controlled. Why it mattered is simple: this waterfront is where the city becomes an empire of money. In 1602, the Dutch East India Company is formed, and Amsterdam becomes one of the main engines behind it. Wealth flows in here, then out again, turned into ships, loans, and new voyages. Then the view changes. Over time, quays harden, regulations tighten, and the city's edges shift as new basins and docks develop. Today, the old dam rack still exists as a central approach, and even when the ships are gone, the sense of arrival remains. This view shows the dam square and the town hall. This view shows power set in stone. By the mid-1600s, Dam Square feels like Amsterdam's public stage. In the foreground, carts creak across uneven ground. In the midground, clusters of people gather: merchants in dark coats, women with baskets, children darting between legs. In the background, the new town hall dominates the scene, completed in 1655, wide and confident, like a palace built for a republic. The building reads as order. Clean lines. Heavy doors. A facade meant to last. But around it, daily life is messy. There are sellers calling out bread and smoked fish. Dogs sniffing at scraps. Men arguing over a delivery. A bell tolling somewhere, marking time for those who can afford to track it. Tension lives here too. This is where announcements are made, punishments are seen, and authority shows its teeth. Political conflict can flare in a city that grows rich fast. Class resentment simmers when some families build mansions while others live in cramped alleys behind the markets. Why it mattered is that the town hall is a symbol of the Dutch Golden Age itself: wealth without a king, a civic pride that says the city governs the city. It's also a place where contracts are confirmed and disputes are settled, keeping commerce moving. Then it changes again. In 1808, the building becomes a royal palace under King Louis Bonaparte, and the message shifts from republic to monarchy. Today, it survives as the Royal Palace on Dam Square, a place you can still step into, and feel how the city once dressed itself as a world power. This is the Canal Belt, Harengracht, and the merchant houses. This view shows a calmer kind of ambition. By the 1600s, Amsterdam's Canal Belt is expanding, planned in rings, carved into the landscape with astonishing confidence. In the foreground, canal water reflects tall, narrow houses like wavering mirrors. In the midground, facades rise in neat lines, brick, stone, and careful ornament. In the background, the skyline is measured, interrupted by church towers and the tips of cranes. The sound here is different. Softer. Water lapping against stone. The rattle of a cart on a bridge. A door opening, and the quick echo of footsteps inside a high-ceilinged hall. These homes smell of clean linen, wax, ink, and sometimes imported spices, cinnamon, pepper, cloves, small perfumes of global reach. Daily life is busy but controlled. Servants carry buckets, scrub steps, and haul goods in through side doors. Merchants keep ledgers, check letters, and meet partners in back rooms. Barges glide past with barrels of beer, stacks of timber, or loads of peat for heating. But even here, danger remains. Water threatens foundations. A leak in a cellar can rot beams. Fires can jump from house to house in a dry season. And social tension can be felt in the contrast, these grand canals versus the poorer quarters just beyond, where families crowd into small rooms. Why it mattered is that this canal belt becomes the physical shape of Amsterdam's wealth. It's a city designed not only to live in, but to impress. A network built for transport, drainage, and status all at once. Then the story changes as tastes change. Some houses are divided into apartments. Some fall into disrepair. Yet remarkably, much of this stretch survives today. You can still walk along Harengracht and feel the same narrow elegance, still balanced over water. This view shows the Westerkerk and the Jordan. This view shows faith rising above a working city. By the 1630s, the Westerkerk stands newly built, completed in 1631, its tower climbing into the air like a compass needle. In the foreground, small bridges cross tight canals. In the midground, modest houses lean close together. In the background, the church's stone and windows catch the shifting light. The Jordan feels alive and crowded. You hear work everywhere, hammering, sawing, voices calling from doorways. The smell is strong, damp wool, brewed beer, smoke from peat fires, and the sour edge of waste where canals move too slowly. People here work with their hands. Sailmakers, carpenters, dyers, and small traders. Children carry errands. Women scrub clothes at the water's edge. Men haul loads on their backs. It is a neighborhood of movement, and also of confinement, small rooms, low ceilings, many mouths to feed. Tension comes from density. Fires spread fast. Disease spreads faster. In hard winters, canals freeze and supply lines tighten. And the city's morality is policed unevenly, poor quarters watched more closely, punished more harshly. Why it mattered is that the Jordan is the engine room of daily Amsterdam. It is where labor lives. The Westerkerk becomes a landmark not just of religion, but of identity, a marker you can see from far canals, guiding you back. Then the neighborhood changes, over centuries, through poverty, decline, and later revival. Today, the Westerkerk still stands, and the Jordan survives as one of the city's most walked, most loved areas, proof that working streets can become heritage. This is the Oude Kerk and the Red Light Quarter. This view shows an older Amsterdam, older than the Golden Age itself. By the 1600s, the Oude Kerk stands in the heart of the city, surrounded by tight lanes and busy trade. In the foreground, the church's stone walls feel worn and solid. In the midground, small shops and homes press close. In the background, the tower rises above a maze of rooftops and chimneys. The air here is thick with life. Bells mark the hours. Footsteps echo on wet stones. A vendor sells hot food. The smell shifts from incense and candle wax near the church to fish, beer, and canal dampness in the streets outside. Daily life mixes sacred and ordinary in a way that feels almost startling. People come to pray, to gossip, to meet. Traders move goods nearby. Sailors drift through, newly paid, looking for drink, company, or escape. In the 17th century, this was a recognizable landmark for anyone entering the city by water. The canal was active but not rushed. Small trading boats, fishing vessels, and local barges moved steadily along its length. The Montalbans Tower stood as both a watch point and a navigation marker. Its clock and bell helping regulate daily life. Along the canal banks were modest houses, workshops, and warehouses with residents carrying goods, drawing water, or simply passing through. A clear, familiar view of Amsterdam's working waterways framed by one of its most enduring towers. Finally, we arrive at Amsterdam's harbor. Music, the driving force behind the city's wealth. In the 17th century, this was one of the busiest maritime hubs in Europe. Large VOC ships prepared for long voyages. Smaller boats carried goods between warehouses, and workers moved steadily along the docks, loading and unloading cargo. Music, the air was filled with the sounds of rigging, carts, and crews calling out instructions. Much of Amsterdam's prosperity began right here at the water's edge. That's all for now. Please comment what you'd like to see reconstructed next.